Hey, what's up, Reefers? So recently I have been thinking a lot about what to do next. I feel like with all the tweaks, the 45-gallon cube tank is finally pretty much on its way to be automated, and I don't really need to tweak it as much as before anymore. And in some way I kind of miss it. I miss like tweaking, I miss like fixing issues, and I'm always looking for new challenges. And having a tank that is stable is not a bad thing at all. On the contrary, it's really good. But I guess like in my nature, I just want to create, I just want to fix. I'm those I make a bad reefer because I won't let things grow. So I've been thinking about this thing a lot. It's like, what else can I do? So three things came to mind, and I kind of want to get your input on it, especially because you guys are watching this channel. What sounds the most interesting to you? So let me go through the three things and let me know what you think. All right, number one, SPS for the 45-gallon cube. I have never really been into SPS simply because they are so demanding in terms of water quality, in terms of like the level of care. So I've always shied away from it. But I feel like, all right, I've dealt with like LPS, ZOAs, softies enough. I kind of wanted to venture into something different. And initially, I wasn't too attracted to SPS simply because there's not a lot of movement compared to what I'm used to seeing in a mixed reef. But as I dive deeper and deeper into it, there's a lot of interesting color morph and growth formation that actually looks fantastic as well. So I'm thinking about adding a little bit more SPS into the cube tank, especially to the right side. Maybe I'll reorganize some things, take out some corals, and slowly convert this tank into almost like a partial SPS tank. One thing in particular I really like is the stacks. The stacks actually looks really good. So that's something I'm thinking about. Let me know what you think. It may be tough simply because I have like anemones, I have LPS, and I have like more invasive stuff like the blue clove in this tank already. But I feel like there's a way to make it work. At least I want to try to see if it's possible to make it work. And at the moment, I'm not doing a 2 parts dosing, I'm just dosing calc. And I feel like if I do not have a SPS dominant tank, I may be able to get away with it. So I'm tempted to give it a try. Does that sound interesting? All right, let's go on to the second idea. So from a while back, I bought a 8-gallon Nano cube. Well, it's not really a cube, but it's an 8-gallon tank. And I got it to temporarily hold a rotary anemone a while back when I attempted one. But that did not work out, and I ended up using this tank for just one day. And ever since then, it had been boxed up and sitting in the basement. From time to time, I've thought about bringing it back out, but I have no idea what to do with it. I thought about using it as a beta tank, the freshwater fish beta. I thought about using it as a red shrimp tank. And I even thought about using it as like a dwarf seahorse tank, which all sounds pretty interesting. But I wanted something low maintenance and visually impressive and interesting. I did not want to do just another mixed reef because I already have a cube tank, so I feel like it's a little bit redundant if I do another standard reef tank. So I thought about it. I have always wanted a frogfish tank. Now, when I was in college many years ago, I kept a leaf fish tank. This is back when things are cheaper. A leaf fish I was able to get from, there's an aquarium in Baltimore. I forgot what it's called. Aquarium Center, I think it's called. It's off of Randall Road. And they sold leaf fish for like $20 each, and it was cheap back then. So I got a gold leaf fish, and I got like a dark red maroon leaf fish, and I had a species tank, and it was great. It was good times. I kept them in a 10-gallon tank with a lot of macroalgae, calipers, and they did well. They did really good. And ever since back then, I've always wanted to keep a frogfish. But frogfish, the type that does not grow too large, they're expensive. I'm talking about the painted frogfish. They go for about like $100 each, and it was way above my price range back in the days when I was going to school. I had no income. So now with a little bit more exposable income for me to toss around, I figure if I want to try frogfish, now may be the time. Now, this tank may be a little bit tougher to keep a frogfish in, simply because it's pretty small. It's 8 gallon, so it's tough to keep the water parameters stable. I think the minimum tank size people recommend, it's 13 or 14 gallon at a minimum for frogfish, simply because they normally do not walk too much, although they do kind of move around to hunt. But the major issue is water quality. With such a small volume and with a larger frogfish that eats a lot, they'll produce a lot of waste. So I think in this case, filtration, water change, especially water change, will be crucial. And a tough part to keep such a small nano tank is also the water fluctuation due to evaporation. So I think in order to get away with this, I will need a auto top-off system for sure. So that is something I've been thinking about, and I feel like if I get a small frogfish, I could get away with it. And as I get older, I can just buy a larger tank. There's some beautiful like 13, 15 gallon or even 20 gallon cube tank. If it comes to that point, I can just purchase quickly. The problem of keeping frogfish is that not a lot of people have long-term success with them. If the fish hit 1 year old, usually it's considered a really good job already. And there's like a huge long thread on Reef Central dealing with a frogfish. I believe it's called like the Frogfish File. You can do a search and you'll probably find it. It's a great read, lots of beautiful fish on there. But the common theme seems to be like frogfish do not live more than a year in a standard small aquarium or aquarium in general, which is really sad. But so that is something I am kind of considering as well. That's number 2, keeping a frogfish in a nano tank, at least a small frogfish in a nano tank. Now, of course, there will be different challenges because the LED light that comes with the 8 gallon tank is pretty shitty. So either I keep really low light demanding coral or I kind of retrofit the light, put something else a little bit better on. But that will also increase the cost. So we'll see. Let me know what you think about the idea of a frogfish species only tank. Now, number 3, the third thing that I have been thinking about doing for quite a while now is actually upgrading the main tank to something larger. So I looked around, I thought about either going with a 4-foot tank or a 6-foot tank or something even larger. And ultimately I thought 120 gallon may be a good size for me. 110 gallon typically is about 4 foot, and that means I can probably cover it with 2 LED fixture if I do decide to go with LED again, or 48 inches T5. Versus if I went with something a little bit larger, 6-foot tank, that means I would need like 3 LED fixtures and a much longer T5 tubes, and the cost will go up a lot. So after debating between all these things, I figure, okay, if I do go with a standard tank dimension, I think a 120 gallon tank may be good for the next step up. I wanted something larger, but just to be a little bit more realistic, I figure 120 may be good. Now, my pie in the sky is a drop tank. So recently I started seeing these pop up. Probably because artfully acrylic, they produce some smaller desktop drop tank that look gorgeous, but here and there I've seen some larger application of drop tank. And let me see if I do it right, you'll probably see some great fantastic examples, and I'll link to their channel or where you can find more info about these fantastic drop tanks down in the video description below. And these are really inspiring because I am really interested in the challenge of aquascaping a non-standard tank dimension. And with drop tank is such a interesting... Aquascaping for a drop tank is such an interesting problem to solve. Like, if you aquascape it like a standard tank, there's no point. Why do you get a drop tank? So you must kind of play to strength or play to its unique identity and kind of accentuates it. So how do you do it? How do you present it? I think it's so interesting. Now I did reach out to Awfully Acrylic Awfully Acrylic, I can't pronounce it, just to kind of get a sense of how much it would cost. I asked them for the kind of like a ballpark price range of a 120 gallon drop tank. So after a while, they got back to me because of course they're busy. And they tell me the actual water volume is probably about 90 gallon. And the cost, if I remember right, is about 1,600 for the tank itself. The stand will be another I think it's 600. I forgot if they quoted me 600 or 800. I think it's starting from 600s. So it's not cheap. It is really expensive. And of course, with drop tank being such a niche product, I'm not holding my breath on finding a used tank up for sale compared to like a 120 gallon tank or something a little bit larger, a 4-foot tank that seems to show up on local brief forum or even Craigslist pretty regularly. So chances are I'm going to come across a standard tank before I encounter a drop tank. And not to mention the cost of the drop tank. And we're looking at like $2,500 or up to $3,000 investment for this new system. So as much as I really want to try an aquascape and grow out a drop tank, I'm not sure if I can afford this guy. It's gonna burn a big hole in my wallet. So I don't know. Yeah, but the drop tank is the pie in the sky. I would love to get one. But if not, if I go with number 3, upgrading a main tank, then I'm looking at either a 100 or some kind of 4-foot tank. Or maybe 5-foot if there's like any like more non-standard dimension. I would love that. But for the new tank, right, if I do end up upgrading the main tank, I'll probably go a little bit more into SPS as well, similar to what I wanted to do to my 45-gallon cube, just to get a sense. Because this time, I really want to try to recreate a reef crest. Either reef crest falling into a cliff if I can get to a drop tank, or just like a reef crest with a lot of fish swimming around coral heads. So that is kind of like my dream project for the next go if I do end up upgrading my tank to a larger size. So let me know what you think would be the most interesting, what you'd like to see. If you'd have to pick, well, actually, like give me the order, like which sounds the most interesting to you. Whether it's introducing SPS to the 45-gallon cube to slowly convert it into a little bit more SPS, or number 2, stock up the 8-gallon desktop tank and possibly doing a species tank for Frogfish or something equivalent, or number 3, upgrade the main tank to either a 120-gallon or a 4-foot tank, or somehow get a drop tank going and give that a go. Let me know how you like them, and if you want to rank them from like 1 to 3 in terms of like the most interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Alright guys, with that said, I'm gonna do some design work and then I'm gonna hit the sack, so I will talk to you guys later. See ya!